It was already time for me to come out of my mother's womb, but I refused. Instead, I lingered with my head out of her Virginia and my body inside. I just didn't want to come out of this world. The midwife was surprised and confused why I decided to act that way. Without any notice, the midwife gave her a herb to chew, and I was ejected out. Immediately, the cold breeze hit my skin. I cried out my lungs and kicked angrily. The midwife was happy, Mom was happy too. I was so angry. They should be kind for once. My spiritual mates were by the side watching everything. They knew I was angry, but they tried hard not to show how amused they were. My name is Ekemili, meaning a river python. I was given that name by my dad, who insisted I look like his mother who passed on years ago. I decided to come to this world because I had a mission. I just fancied this particular household, the Alayoma family. I decided to be born there. After my mom delivered me, I was wrapped up and took home where everyone celebrated me. I was asleep, but I could feel, see, and understand what was going on around me. I had three brothers, Odinaka, Odili, and Uchenna. They were 14, 12, and 6 years of age, respectively. The family I was born into was the poorest in the entire village. My dad was a farmer. Immediately I was born, I came with so much fortune, wealth, and success. The whole village came to see me. Both strangers bought things for us. From the day I was born to the 3 days, neither my mom or dad had to go to the markets to buy and sell because food was surplus. They pampered me like an egg, and indeed, everyone admired me because I came with a bright caramel skin, deep brown eyes, and thick black hair. I enjoyed the attention I was being given by everyone until I started getting bored. I always had to go back to the Odara tree where I always meet my spiritual mates, Olaido, Asampete, and Ugo. I enjoyed their company so much that most times they were the one always begging me to go back. Trouble started 6 weeks after I was dedicated. Normally, mom always carried me to the market, and when she did so, I always made sure that all the traders provided everything mom wanted to buy, and even extra, free of charge. One blessed day, mom tied my hair with a native black thread and applied Otanjali, black ointment, on my eyelids. Throughout the day, I was so uncomfortable as my skull was on fire. I cried and cried and cried, but she didn't lose the thread she tied on my hair. Instead, she renewed the hairstyle each time it got old. I was so angry that I had to fall seriously sick and defied all medications. They took me to different medicine house, but I refused to get better. I was already 5 months. Mom continued tying my hair with thread, and my health deteriorated day by day. I intentionally took every wealth I gave to them as they spent all they had on my health. Mom still didn't relent in renewing my hair, and she didn't even care to stop anyone from fondling my hair. I watched everyone as they always kept vigil each night. I cried out my lungs out. I had serious fever and headache, and all native drugs my dad bought for me were not even working. I complained to my spiritual mates that I'll soon leave my family if the pain continued. I already had 3 days to leave if they don't do the necessary. 2 days later, I heard a voice outside which I knew was the voice of Makpuruma. An Ogbanje like me, though we were of different sects, she was way more powerful than I. Woman, why are you so ignorant not to recognize that you're the one behind your daughter's illness? She told my mom in an upset tone. Mom wiped her tears and looked at her in confusion. She's been crying hopelessly for the past 3 days without eating because of me. Remove every rubbish you tied on your daughter's hair. On no account will you or anyone touch her hair, else that person will have himself to be blamed. If you know the treasure you have at hand, you wouldn't have been this careless. She left. Mom immediately ran into the room I was sleeping and knelt down crying, begging me to forgive her. I gave out a loud wail and she hurriedly untied the thread she tied on my head. I felt relieved and started getting better day by day. From that day, none of my family members joked with me talk more of letting anyone touch my hair. After I recovered fully, it was already time for my spiritual mates to start their work. By 12:12 a.m., my brothers were still awake playing games. They left the lantern on and I was already fast asleep. My mates came into the room like a wind and quenched the lantern. Uchenna, why did you blow up the lantern? Nashe, you want to do Ohoro you this boy? Odili whispered in the darkness, trying to reach out for the box of matches on the table. Didi, I didn't put off any lantern, oh, maybe it's breeze, Uchenna replied. Odili lit the lantern again, but my mates blew it off almost immediately. My brothers had to shut the window, but this repeated 3 consecutive times. They were scared apart from Odinaka, who kept on lighting the lantern over and over again. Didi, it's better we go to bed. Ooh, Uchenna suggested with fear when the light went off again. Odili immediately covered himself with match, shaking with fear. But Odinaka refused and tried lighting the lantern again. A stainless cup fell from the shelf above him and landed on his head. He winced in pain as Olaido blew sleeping charms in the air. Just too stubborn, she said in distaste. They started locking my hair. We spent the whole night chatting and laughing. Since that day, they always came around by 12:12 a.m. and made sure the lights were off before they start locking my hair. After that incident, my brothers learned to sleep early, and they even narrated the incident to our parents, who warned them to always make sure they blow off the lanterns before they sleep. Since then, no one cares leave the kerosene lantern on before going to bed. By 3 weekdays, they continued their visits by 12:12 a.m. until they were done. My dreadlocks became very obvious and beautiful to everyone's admiration. Years later, I grew to a beautiful young girl, though I was 12. My love for jagida, waist beads, were out of this world. My parents filled my jewelry box with them, especially the one made with cowries and sea gems. I can brag that I have at least 73 waist beads, and I don't joke with any of them. Whenever I tied my lapa across my chest and waist, I'll at least add 12 waist beads and cowries bracelets on both wrists, even on my dreadlocks, which now exceeds my shoulders. I love going out to play, but the whole children in the community avoided me like a leper because I was very different and extremely strange. I remembered when I was playing with John and Ada near our house, Ada ran into the bush. Ada, you better come out from there. There's a red snake there, ooh. I warned, but she didn't listen. She ended up being carried home dead because she was bitten by a red snake. When I was 6, I was playing with Obiora. We had a serious fight, and he ended up hitting my left eye with a big stone. I cried back home, seriously bleeding from my eye. The next day, I heard that Obiora died of convulsion, and the strangest thing was that I healed before the next day. No one noticed I had an injury. I knew it was the handwork of my mates because they hated seeing me cry or hurt, and they fight anyone who fought against me. I also remembered when I was coming back from the farm and a pregnant woman came out from nowhere and started calling me a witch. I just ignored her and walked away. The next minute, she entered into labor and gave birth to 2 catfishes. When I said everyone dreaded me in the community, including the king, they respected and feared my family. I wasn't really bothered because I have my mates always with me. They'd sing and play drums, and I'll dance and shake my waist, making sure the sounds of the cowries on my waist were heard. Of course, no one saw or heard the music or who played them, but my mates were in front of me. One day I was dancing with my mates in the bush. I saw a woman weeding grasses in her farm, but I saw death hovering around her. I halted the music and went to meet her. Woman, why would you leave your 2 months old baby at home alone and come here to weed your farm? I asked her as I put my hands at my back. She looked up to me with a strong hatred written over her face, but I didn't care. I had to pass my message. You have only 30 minutes to go back and save your child because there's a big hungry python under your bed. Get a native kola nut and a native egg. Break the kola nut into 4 pieces and throw it together with the egg under the bed. The python will find its way out peacefully. The woman stood up, cursed me, and continued what she was doing. I left angrily. Why are people so disobedient and stubborn? Why can't they keep enmity aside and obey simple instructions that will save their lives and that of their loved ones? I asked my mates. Asampit laughed. Does that bother you? Once you get home, you will meet her in your house crying, and she will accuse you that you killed her child. I sighed and signaled Ugo to start playing the drum. After being exhausted and hungry, I strolled back home only to see the woman I met earlier in the farm in front of my house crying and shouting, Eke Elola Nbua Mu Python has swallowed my child U. My parents were consoling her. I saw them, but I didn't say anything. I just went directly to the kitchen and brought out roasted yam and oil to eat. Ekemili, my mom called, scared of my reaction. I know the woman already narrated everything to my parents, but I don't care. Ekemili, please help the poor woman. My dad pled in a calm but scared tone. No, 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 Papa, don't beg me. I have no business with her. This one is medicine after death. I said although I had in mind to help the woman, but my mates looked at me in a dangerous manner that shows I'll be in trouble if I try to help her. When my parents saw that I've already made up my mind, they kept quiet in order not to provoke me. I stood up to leave. The woman, seeing that I was not going to change my mind, now reversed her words and started accusing me of sending a python to swallow her baby. She cried so loudly that some of the villagers gathered to watch. I ignored her and tried to walk away. She ran after me and pulled me by the lapel. Leave me alone, I warned her. You murderer, you witch, why did you kill my baby? Where did you send the python to? Why did you send a python to swallow my child? She cried. May the blood of your child be upon your head, I said angrily. She pulled and caught one of my waist beads. I got so angry that my body vibrated so badly. All hell let loose as the woman went insane that instant, stripped naked, and ran away. Nobody told. The villagers gathered to find their level. Many of them fell and got injured while running for their lives. I walked away. I loved climbing trees no matter the height. Everyone nicknamed me OSS squirrel or a darker monkey. I loved taking my naps in the trees, especially the coconut tree near my house. My parents always warned me not to go near the Iroko tree in our village square for fear that I'll end up climbing it, but one day I'll try and climb it sha. I could control everything around me with my eyes. I can tell a person past, present, and future, and even the hidden sicknesses in one's body. I knew thousands of leaves for poisons and their antidotes, even herbs that could cure and sickness on earth. I loved playing pranks so much on my parents and siblings. Like one day, I felt mischievous and decided to pull a prank on my dad, who wanted to take his goats to the market to sell. He tied the goats on a bamboo stick as I sat and watched. Papa, please use these goats and prepare pepper soup for me. I want to eat agidi with goat pepper soup. I said childishly. I already knew that Dad wouldn't agree, but I needed an excuse to pull a funny prank on Dad. Tame Chipugi Onu, shut your mouth. Are you the only last born on earth that you want to finish a whole goat? Did you fall down from a palm tree? He hissed and went inside to collect his money bag. When he came back, he didn't see the goat anymore. Where did you take my goat to? He rubbed his eyes. Call your goat. He's still tied there. Who? I didn't touch your goat. My dad looked at me in disbelief. Wampki u nago uku na achogo. Hey, go at your owner is looking for you. The goat began to mee. I tried hard not to laugh. Dad looked at me in a this is not funny way. Ekemili, what is your problem, E? The hair goat is mine, not yours, and I decide what I'll do with my goat. He lost his patience. The goat was still tied there, but he couldn't see it. I then changed the goat to fowl. See your goat? I pointed and ran away. Ewo Ekemili, what have you done to my goat? Why did you change my goat to a fowl? Dad pursued me to the village square, begging me. I didn't rest until he chased me round the village. When I saw he was exhausted, I stopped. Go to the market near that woman that sells tobacco. You'll see a young man who will buy your goat for 4 bags of cowries. Don't forget to buy me okpa and akara while coming back home. I ran away into the bush. When they realized that I loved being chased when I became mischievous, they stopped chasing me around. Instead, they'll start roasting fish. They knew how much I hated the smell of fish. Talk less of when it's being cooked, so they use that to send me far away so my pranks will expire. I never lacked, although my parents weren't as rich as they were when I was born, but at least we renewed our hut to a bigger and more beautiful one. We lived normal, but I didn't depend on them all time. Whenever I needed money for anything, it always appeared in my room, either on my table or inside my leopard skin bag that dad bought for me on my 12th birthday. I know you think my life is so juicy and sweet, but no. There was strong hold of witchcraft in my community, a very, very strong one. There's no day that one or two witches won't come to attack either me or any member of my family. The witches inflicted the people with incurable diseases, deaths, and difficult conditions. My community in Nzoma being the most successful and populated amongst his three brothers, Amanze, Ife, and Nzere. But due to the heavy spread of witchcraft, the community became so backward, wicked, stubborn, and trouble filled. I wasn't the only Ogbanje in my community, but I am the most powerful amongst them all. Some of my fellow Ogbanje don't even know that they are Ogbanje, and they end up being inflicted with poverty, sickness, depression, mental insanity, or even death by their mates when they failed to acknowledge them.